welcome back to Good Morning Tobago on Tobago Updates. Viewers, you're going to get straight into our conversation this morning. And first up with me is Miss Karen Nunez Tesheira, who is a deputy political leader of the newly formed party within our space, and that is the Honesty, Opportunity, Performance and Empowerment Party, which acronym is Hope. So a special good morning and welcome to you, Miss Karen Nunez Tesheira. How are you doing?
I'm doing very well. Just want to make a little correction, actually, if you don't mind. The name of the party is Hope, and those what you just called out were already not acronyms, but what we think are the guiding principles of Hope. But that is the name of the party. So just for a matter of just clarification, but we do believe in everything that you just said, and we stand by it.
All right. No, and let's just start there. I mean, give us the inspiration behind the name. Tell me why those words were selected as that to depict what the party is.
Well, I think because I don't think it's a secret, and I know I'm speaking in Tobago, but I suspect that given the results of the THA elections, there's also that same level of disaffection with whoever the parties in office are, whether on either side of the equation. And in fact, I think there was a poll done by the three major media stations, and they all said that they 100% needed change. And so we believe that Hope represents that, because one of the things I think that made me want to join Hope and made it critical for me to want to become part of Hope is because Hope doesn't only talk about all the nice things that we're going to do. Everybody says that, and that is why you get this cynicism and disaffection. But Hope has laid out a 180-day plan of things that it will do within that period of time, as well as it already has. And it's a work in progress, and it certainly would like the input of the citizens. But we do have, in fact, I do have a technical example of it, which is unfortunate, but it would have been better. But of course, our policy document, which we use as a guiding, but we are committed to empowering people. And one of the things we think has never really been addressed meaningfully and efficiently is the issue of crime. Until you get to the root cause of crime and you're willing to acknowledge what the root cause of crime is, all other things will not be able to be realized. That's one. Secondly, there's a lack of implementation. This is the second term, and I can't see that other than focusing on the energy sector, which is something that's good, but we know it's in trouble in any event, that unlike many other countries, Dubai, Mauritius, Jamaica, just around the corner, so to speak, Singapore, and we can go on, all recognized that they needed to diversify, that horrible word that our Prime Minister doesn't like to use. That's how you earn foreign exchange. And we have seen a lack of a willingness to meaningfully and coherently create foreign exchange reserve opportunities, if he wants to use that terminology. So the lack of implementation, and also the final point for me in any event is that, as I always say, you don't need to be Yusina Gonzalez, you don't need to have a crystal ball. Our Minister of Finance, in every speech, I think, talked about the volatility of oil and gas. So what he means by that is, it's not, you can't depend on the price staying up. And we are not price makers, we are price takers. We have no control over those prices. And if you know that affects directly the revenue of the country and therefore the ability of the government to deliver to the people of Trinidad and Tobago in various areas, then it only stands to reason that you would do as many other countries, those of which I mentioned, start looking in a real way and start giving just the talk, and walk the walk. And in doing so, I want to say in terms of the leadership, why do I believe in that leadership? Well, we are not on talk radio right now, but many shows are talk radio. Many shows are talk radio. And the person who brought talk radio to Trinidad and Tobago was Louis Lise, deputy political leader. I don't think anybody could question Mr. Timothy Hammersmith, our political leader. He's been extraordinarily successful, headed up one of the most successful commercial law firms in Trinidad and Tobago. I've been in cabinet, and not tooting my horn at all, because I don't want to do that. But I would like to say that regardless of what people may want to see. In 2010, when we left office, voted out of office, we were able to contain the CL financial crisis, the CIB crisis, the Hindu crisis, Hindu community, the Hindu HU crisis, which in 2008 was a global financial crisis with many countries, even from Europe, running to the IMF for support.
All right. Now, you said quite a mouthful there, but I want to get a little bit into the party itself. As you mentioned, we have Mr. Hamel-Smith, Timothy Hamel-Smith, leading the charge with you at his side, as well as Mr. Louis Leasing, former mayor of Port of Spain. Tell me about the reasons why you guys chose to come together and form a new party.
I think the people themselves have said that. I mean, I don't think there are many. Of course, there was going to be diehards, and that's just how it is. But I do think that when you speak to the people, and they've done some polling, you will find that there are many, many people, and Tobago is a good example. If it were not so, then we know that the party that is in power in Trinidad and Tobago would be the party in power in Tobago, and they were totally save for one seat. They were annihilated. The local government elections, they tried to stop that, as far as I'm concerned, for 1 year because they knew they were not in a good place. And the Privy Council had to put them in their place and tell them that you cannot make that decision. The Parliament can't make that decision. It's the electorate. So I am saying this because it is clear that the people are looking for an alternative, but a viable alternative to run the country. And one of the things you asking me why I feel so strong. One of the things I'm very, very strong on is the need to diversify the economy in a very meaningful way. And I really do give homage to Tobago for not only talking about Ministry of Tourism, but they talk about culture and antiquities. I mean, I really, and having the Blue Festival, having all the different cultural heritage events that really celebrate Tobago beside the sun, sea, and sand. But what really impacted me is the willingness and the commitment to really get into foreign exchange reserve opportunities, whether it is cultural tourism, the agro industry, going back to the TTIFC and really rebuilding it. But the most important thing is I have never heard any political leader come out and say, as Timothy Hammersmith has said, it's on the launch, that he said, you want to know something? Is the cabinet being controlled within the cabinet, or is it being controlled outside the cabinet? Is there a drug and a gun cabinet, a drug and gun cabinet outside the cabinet, and is there a contract cabinet outside the cabinet controlling this cabinet? I've never heard anybody come out and say that so strongly. They talk about everything else, but they don't talk about the root cause. And he has given prescriptions. One of them, very early in the day, which we have made in the 180 days, is that the campaign financing. And that's where a lot of the in and out of cabinet comes. Because if I put millions of dollars into your campaign, I'm going to want a return on my investment. And the campaign financing legislation, which the government has, like much of the legislation they have, going back 10 and 12 years, they either gut it, or they don't pass it, or they don't proclaim it. And proclaim means they do not bring it into effect. Just the recent one with TSTT, just the recent one with TSTT, that Data Protection Act has been around. I went and checked it, 2012. And all of a sudden, when it was discovered, they didn't tell us. It was on internationally that we were outed, so to speak, 2.5 weeks later. The TSTT had been hacked. All of a sudden, you have the permanent secretary coming out and talking about setting up a data protection institution or entity and having a director. Why weren't you doing that for the last 9 years? Why the procurement legislation, the gambling commission legislation, the IMF has been begging you to set up a statistical unit. Why won't you do any of these things? Everything. And when you do something, supposedly to deal with the drugs because our political leaders said we don't grow cocaine and we don't make guns. And yet, what have you done really to manage it? What we do know is that 435 scanners not working. What we do know is the DNA and the ballistics training
Mm-hmm.
testing. I think for the DNA is 32,000 is the backlog, and realistic is 40 something thousand. Are you really, really serious about dealing with the root cause of crime? I mean, our political leader has
Well,
identified it,
yeah,
and
well,
nothing is
Miss
being.
Nunez Tesheira, I just want to also just because we only got a couple minutes left, so and I'm sure that you'll be back several times, and we can get more into the party itself as you guys grow and develop within the space of Trinidad and Tobago. But I just want to get really quickly from you, what's the vision in terms of even incorporating or being in Tobago? What's the vision, and what place does Tobago have in your party?
Well, we been Dr. B. Israel on another program we've had on. Haven't seen in quite a while, but my greetings to her. Um, from our point of view, we support Tobago, and I take great umbrage on behalf of Tobagonians. Yes, that they that statement when he's deceased now, and saying things he said about Tobago. I mean, it went I think with the Sedition Act to see whether he had breached the Sedition Act. So what I say about Tobago has a lot of capacity because one of the things that will give you foreign exchange is tourism, and I don't think that the central government has given the THA the kind of meaningful support to develop a really meaningful tourism sector. So what would I like to see? I like to see Tobago being recognized for its contribution. It has a lot of natural gas. One day they're going to want a natural gas. And guess what? It's worth something. Yes, so don't say Tobago has nothing to offer. Number two, for one party, Tobago is very, very important. So don't pretend politically Tobago is not important. And at the end of the day, 60,000 people, but 60,000 important people who add, you can see the difference and in a positive way between Trinidadian and Tobagonian in their whole outlook and even how they speak. So what I like to see, the true diversity, the coming together of both Trinidad and Tobago, earning the foreign exchange that we need to earn and getting rid of the root cause of crime with the assistance of international entities like Interpol, Impacts, and doing the work
Right.
that has to be done so that we have a chance to really be a real player in this space.
And that's such a perfect way to end this conversation. I want to thank you so much, Ms. Karen Nunez Tesheira, the Deputy Political Leader of the newest party within Trinidad and Tobago, Hope. So thank you again for being on with us.
Thank you very much for having me. And unfortunately, we had some mix up on the time, so I would hope that doesn't happen again. But I am very willing and happy to come on at any time that I am invited.
All right, great. Thank you so much. And viewers, please don't go anywhere. We've got a lot more coming up for you after the break.